Okay, I still have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 15 books. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing quite a big book haul. I tried to go to book buying ban, apparently that doesn't work for me, but these are a mix of thrifted books and new books. So without further ado, let me show you the books that I picked up. So the first book that I have is Maggie O'Farrell's Hamlet. This is a fiction book that follows the family behind William Shakespeare, like his wife and his children, I believe. But I've had really great reviews, so I can't wait to read this. Next up is Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber. I have seen this everywhere, and I am trying to add more, not just classics into my reading list, but also thin books, because when I feel myself slipping into a little bit of a reading slump, I need to pick up something that is, you know, short and sweet. This, I think, is like a collection of short stories, I believe, and they're all kind of derived from kind of like kids fables, like kids fairy tales. Don't know too much about it. I should have included this into my autumn TBR, but I'm gonna do like a whole spooky season Halloween TBR soon, and I think this is gonna be something that will pop on there. Next, I've got another classic, and that is Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. Again, a classic, again, short and sweet, so can't wait. Next, we have Catherine Stockett's The Help. I've actually never seen this movie. When I was looking into it, a lot of people said that the movie's great, but the book is much better, so I thought I'd pick it up. Next, we have Paul Beatty's The Sellout. I haven't really seen too much about this anywhere, but I've seen a couple of people review it on like TikTok and Bookstagram, and it really piqued my interest, so I also got this one. Next, I picked this up a little while ago, but I don't think I actually feature this in any of my hauls, but it is Dolly Alderton's Everything I Know About Love. Now, this is a non-fiction, but I have seen so many people rave on about how great this is, so I thought this would be a nice way to kind of ease myself back into the non-fiction hype. But I thought I'd pick up something that was a little bit non-fiction but still highly regarded by everybody. Next up, we have Silvia Moreno Garcia's Mexican Gothic. I have seen this all over TikTok, I think in the last year or so, I think probably before that as well. I picked this up because I thought it sounds like a really like interesting plot. It's not one that I would usually go for, but because everybody was hyping it up, I was a sheep and bought it. Okay, next, this one is highly regarded by everybody. Apparently it's a must read. I enjoyed that it's a slightly smaller book as well, but it is Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. Next, I don't know why I didn't put this in my autumnal reads, because I feel like this is definitely an autumnal read, but it is Marcus Zusax, The Book Thief. Quite a chunky book. Everybody has spoken about this at some point on booktok, booktube, bookstagram, whatever. But yeah. Next, I have Anthony Doerr's All the Light We Cannot See. It's not something that I would usually pick up, but one of my little cousins, River, she was reading this, and I completely trust her judgment on the books that she picks up, so I picked it up. We've got another non-fiction book that's made its rounds all over BookTok, Bookstagram, BookTube, whatever, and that is Natasha Lunn's Conversations on Love. This is quite a nice cover. It's a hardback that I picked up from a charity shop for like 50p or £1, so I thought I would get this because everybody has gone on about this as well, and I used to get this confused with Everything I Know About Love in terms of the names, so yeah. Next is a book that I have wanted to read for so many years, and it is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. This is a very talked about book, and everybody that I've seen talk about it has absolutely loved it, so I thought I would get this. Okay, I think we are halfway. I am zooming through these because I've not read them, so I can't really tell you too much about each book. However, I just want to show you what I picked up. Okay, the next one is a book that I picked up because the movie's coming out soon, and that is My Policeman by Beth Roberts. This is based in Brighton, and I actually lived there for a few years because I went to university there, and also I still work in the area, so I always love when I can read about books or watch films or TV shows that are based in places that I've actually been to, or you know, because I can kind of try and see what it looks like in real life and in like the fictional adaptation or whatever. I'm gonna try and read this before I see the movie, whether I try and read this ASAP because the movie comes out next month, but yeah, picked it up. Next, I found this from a charity shop. It's Kazuo Ishiguro's The Remains of the Day. This is again another book that my little cousin River was reading, and again, if she's reading it, I want it and I'm gonna read it, so yeah. Next is a book that was really big on booktok, but with very, very mixed opinions of people either loved it or hated it, but I thought, let me try it anyway. And that is E. Lockhart's We Were Liars. I think this is more like a YA thing. Let's just switch it up a little bit, you know, let's just switch it up. Let's just try it, make our own minds about whether this is good or not. So picked it up. Next is another book that I cannot wait to pick up, even though I said that about Songs of Achilles and I still haven't read that, even though I've had that book for like nearly a year now. Anyway, it is Madeline Miller's Circe. Need I say more? Like, everybody and their mamas have talked about this and also how great it is as a book. And I'm not really someone who's into like fantasy at the moment. Like, I'm trying to inch my way into my fantasy reading era, and I think like a great way to sneak myself into that via the Greek mythology route is the best way to go ahead before I kind of like fully immerse myself. So I thought this was a great way to start my fantasy era, I guess. So yeah. Next I have Douglas Stewart's Shuggie Bain. I don't really know much about it. I think this is based somewhere in the UK. Is it in Scotland or Ireland? We'll find out. We will find out together. Next is a romance book. What I've learned actually is that I'm not too much of a romance girly. However, I really enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really enjoyed her writing, especially Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I devoured that. It was great. So I thought I'd pick this up, and I really enjoy the premise of this because I love a good romance. But rom-coms, I just think, are just so summary. Like, I can't read them any other time. And they just don't quite grasp my attention as much as, say, like a romance with a bit of drama in it. You know what I mean? Like a mix of them. That's what I'm after. Oh my god, I've literally still got like 10 more books. I'm so sorry. Okay, the next book we have is Virginia Woolf's Orlando. Know nothing about it, just saw it at a charity shop for £1. Look at this beautiful cover. I've been trying to read some of Virginia Woolf's work, so I thought, let's pick this up. I was going to look up what would be the best time to start, what would be the best one to start with, but this is what I saw, and so this is what I picked up, and this is what we're starting with. Next, we have another classic, one that was actually a personal favourite of mine as a child, but it is Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Again, I'm just trying to get more classics into my reading list, I guess. So, yeah. Next, we have Julie Ma's Happy Families. I have seen this kind of just like, you know, every now and again, dotted around bookstores. And I was like, I keep seeing it. What is it about? I read it. And you know what? There is something about immigrant families, especially Asians, because I'm Asian, that I really resonate with when it's like an Asian family moving to the UK and what that life is like for them. So I picked this up, and basically that's what it is. It's about a small town Chinese family who owns like a Chinese takeaway, and she's from this small town in Wales, and it just sounds really endearing, and I can tell that it's going to have those like common Asian familial issues that can arise. So yeah, I thought this would be quite a nice emotional read, so picked it up. Okay, I know I was just talking a lot of shit about romance. However, The Kiss Quotient, do I read? By Helen Huang. I'm really intrigued by these because I love the idea that this is a book that isn't just your typical romance in the terms that it is somebody who is on the, I believe she has Asperger's, she's on the spectrum, and it's her kind of trying to find love. And then it's just quite quirky because she hires like a male escort to kind of show her about it. And I know that this is like a series, if I'm not mistaken, so I thought I would pick this up because everybody seems to love it. So if I ever need a lighthearted read, because apparently everything I love makes me either cry, scared, or whatever, something a little bit more lighthearted, it's quite nice. Okay, so the next one I picked up is Everyone's Pretty by Lydia Millett. This I found in a charity shop and read the blurb and was like, what the hell's going on? I actually have to read you the blurb to this one. Dean DeSetti's a pornographer with messianic delusions is spinning out of control. He spends his time drinking himself into a stopper, getting beaten up by strangers he's recklessly insulted, stealing credit cards to pay for sex, and mounting a PR campaign to make himself famous with the help of a loyal foot soldier, a porn-loving midget he met in jail. Meanwhile, his pious romantic spinster sister, who reluctantly keeps house for him in a rundown bungalow in West Los Angeles, has been writing quasi-religious love notes to her statistician boss, while her co-workers, an obsessive-compulsive Christian scientist and a promiscuous, depressed blonde bombshell, become central to a scheme of dumping her freeloading brother and riding off on a white horse with her employer. The teenage math genius living next door is humiliated by her mother and runs away, only to hook up with the suicidal editor at a bar. In Lydia Millett's latest farce, Five imperfect, strangely charmed lives collide in one rollicking, blundering search for love and meaning. Yeah, it sounds like a roller coaster, and I'm here for it. Next up, I have Virginia Fato's Mrs. March. I keep seeing this everywhere just because the cover really like struck me as very like Desperate Housewives meets Frankenstein. I don't know why, but it's not that at all. I think it's more of a Desperate Housewives thing in the terms of she's a wealthy wife of a novelist, and she's, you know, your kind of Stepford wife material, and I think something happens that taints her name, and yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. Whew, okay, I still have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 15 books. We'll power through. We are powering through. Next is Erin Morgenstern's Night Circus. This I really want to read in the autumn because I've heard really good things about it. The only thing is, it is a fatty book, but this I think is very well regarded all over booktok and bookstagram and all of that, so I thought I would pick this up. Again, this is kind of going to the fantasy realm where I am trying to venture into, so let's get it. Okay, because it's spooky season, your girl picked up The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is giving me Bewitched vibes, but also like Gilmore Girls if they were witches, so I thought I'd pick it up. And all of my like spooky season reads are scary, and this one's a little bit more like a romance, so we wanted a little bit of a light-hearted situation here, so I picked it up. Next up is the only book cover with real people on it that I actually don't mind, and that is The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. Now, I am a huge Nicholas Sparks fan. I have been ever since I was like a teenager, before Colleen Hoover, before Taylor Jenkins Reid, before any other romance, any other author that wasn't J.K. Rowling or R.L. Stine to me. It was only Nicholas Sparks. I actually still have like my really tatty A Walk to Remember book that's like probably over 10 years old, and that's like my most prized possession. But I saw this at the Works for £1.50, so I was like, obviously I'm gonna reread that because Noah and Ali, come on. Oh my lord. Okay, next up is a book that I actually picked up because it sounded really interesting and I thought that Ben would actually really enjoy it, but it is Unsoo Kim's The Plotters. I think this is about a guy who is an assassin, and they have to follow like the way that the person they're assassinating has to die to a T, but then I think he's like retiring. I mean, I could literally be talking out my ass, but I think his last kill, he's like, maybe I'll let them choose how they want to die, and then they don't, like, his bosses don't like it, and then, yeah. Next up, we have Christina Dolce's Vox. Now, this sounded really good. It's very dystopian in a sense of, like, very similar to Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale, where women have rights, and then it all gets taken away. And that's what this is. And now I've picked up 3 classics, and these are the Penguin Modern Classics, which that's the ones I'm trying to collect, I think, in terms of like my classics collection. I know I've got others that are classics that aren't from this, from like this editions, but because they're the most minimal, cleanest looking spines. Anyway, the first one is F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. I already have The Great Gatsby, but I prefer this cover. Yeah. Next is Hubert Selby Jr.'s Requiem for a Dream. Very excited to read this. Yeah. Next is Patrick Suskind's Perfume. I've never heard of it, read the blurb, and it sounds pretty crazy because it's basically someone who has a really good nose and basically makes like a name for himself for like being able to create perfume, but he is trying desperately to bottle what he calls the scent of a virgin, innocent young virgin. And yeah. Okay, we have another classic, and that is George Orwell's Animal Farm. Look at this little baby, just a little baby. I have read this before, but we're gonna read it again. Okay, this one I kept seeing throughout the day one time, and then I just was like, I can't get it out of my head. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm gonna pick it up. But it is Lily King's 5 Tuesdays in Winter. Oh, bunch of short stories. Very excited because I'm also trying to get into collections of short stories, so what a great thing. Next, I have A.K. Blakemore's The Manningtree Witches, which I am going to try and also read, or at least pick during spooky season. Apparently I'm going to read 1 book a day during Halloween, but I think this is really great. One of my favorite bookstagram people, Humphreys, goes on and on about this all the time, so I trust their judgment, so I'm gonna read it. Oh my gosh, guys, we are down to the last 5. We have Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. again, trying to go into the fantasy era using Greek mythology. That's what we're doing here. Okay, I've got my last non-fiction, and that is Phil Knight's Shoe Dog. Everyone goes on and on about this. I actually bought this for Ben. He loves trainers, so I thought this would be quite a good non-fiction book to read. And then the next three are like my most recent purchases, and I'm very excited to read them. The first is Jeffrey Eugenides. Is that how I pronounce it? But it's The Virgin Suicides. I've never seen the movie. I just see clips of it. However, I want to see the movie, but I will read the book before I watch the movie. That's apparently who I am. So we're gonna do that. We also have Missouri Williams' The Deloriad. It's about incest. That's all I know. But apparently it's a great book. So let's get into that. And then last but certainly not the least is Mika Kawakami's All the Lovers in the Night. I have Breast and Eggs and I still haven't read that, and I really want to get Heaven as well, but everyone seems to rave on about all her books. So yeah, I picked this up. This was £15 compared to like the typical like $9.99, but it's fine because Ben gave it to me as a thank you gift for planning our engagement party. So those are the 5 million billion trillion books that I have accumulated in the last month or so. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of them. No spoilers, please. Also, any recommendations. What are you reading? Just talk to me if you want to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.